And so, my esteemed viewers, I am so happy to be among you again. I want to hope you are as prepared as I am to face today's lesson. As you already know, it's always my pleasure to be with you and to offer what little help I can afford to help place you on the path of progress in the studying and learning of the English language. At the moment, like I said in our immediate previous video, our attention is focused on giving what help that we can to our IELTS hopefuls, that is to the IELTS students who hope to become candidates in an IELTS examination hall very soon. And at the moment, the task facing us is the IELTS Writing Task 1, which involves letters. And the first kind of letter we are analyzing is the informal letter. We have already written one kind of such letters, and in our previous video, the immediate previous video, we had an analysis and extensive discussion on the techniques of writing an IELTS informal letter in order to score a band 9 or some band score close to 9 or very close to 8. Today, we are focused on writing an actual model informal letter. So we're going to take a look at what we have here and then go on to write what will represent the kind of informal letter that will score you or that will fetch you the highest possible band score in the IELTS examination. Once more, in case you are joining us for the first time, remember that our channel is Alfonso the Rothschild Tutorials, and it is a channel dedicated to helping us have a better grasp of the English language for application reasons. That's for applied reasons. English that you can apply to any field of life that you want to have a discussion, or to any field of life where you find yourself, where communication in English is an absolute necessity, and this is the case in virtually all fields of life. So today, let us take a look at the board as I welcome you once again to IELTS Informal Letter, a model example. Now, like we understood in our last video, the IELTS letter writing does not involve an address or a date. It begins with a salutation. All that has been taken care of. Please, if you are joining us for the first time, please go watch the immediate previous video, which features the features. We discuss the features of the IELTS letter writing, especially the informal letter. Now, the letter is the IELTS informal letter is the one that we can describe as a guided composition. For instance, in Nigeria, in Ghana, and many other parts of West Africa, Central Africa, North Africa, Western Africa, and Eastern Africa, letter writing at the senior secondary school or high school level does not require an outline of points given to the candidate by the examining authority. No, this is not the case, but this is sometimes the case in junior high school examinations, we call junior secondary school. So the IELTS letter, I want to make bold to say that the IELTS letter is actually one that a junior high school student in Nigeria, many of them, can successfully write the IELTS letter, because the letter writing at their level involves the examining board providing the students with points that represent ideas that they are to develop in their letter. So in our lesson today, our question says, you are having a party and want to invite your friend from a different city. You're having a party and you want to invite your friend from a different city. Write a letter to your friend. In your letter, first, describe why you are having the party. Next, give directions on how to get to the venue. And thirdly, and lastly, suggest how you can accommodate her or him. There are 3 points here. Now, these 3 points are provided for you so as to limit the scope of your writing. Because one major problem that freshman writers face in writing is that of being able to articulate their ideas and focus at a point, to give themselves a focal point around which they build their ideas. So very often you find what have been referred to writing as extraneous ideas, extraneous elements. They introduce extraneous ideas into the topic of discussion while believing that they are still within the framework of the idea they are expected to develop. So in our writing, we have to focus on these 2 points. You describe why you're having the party, and then you give directions on how to get to the venue, and then suggest how you intend to accommodate your friend whom you are inviting to the party. These bullet points are the ideas around which your sentences will be built. Having a focus on them will therefore prevent you from derailing and introducing ideas that are foreign into the letter. But without further ado, let us give it a shot. We will start our writing from this part of the board. Our first paragraph will of course be the introduction, and in that introduction we will try to incorporate the reason why you are having the party. All right. As you can see, uh, our writing has been flowing in the right direction. This is where we started the letter. Dearest Safiatu, that's our opening line. That is the salutation. Like I remarked in our previous video, you can write dear or dearest followed by the first name of the addressee and a comma like we have it here. And then I also remarked that the use of contractions, the contraction of primary and modal auxiliary verbs is a requirement in an informal letter. We can see some contractions in the word am and some other words, in the word that, I've, and a few other ones, including will as having you will, implying you will. All right, let's go through the first paragraph and find out whether we have kept faith to the content. The content of the first paragraph is to invite your friend and to explain what the party is all about. So we say, I am delighted to inform you that at last my housemanship program has come to an end and that in consequence I've been pronounced a qualified pediatrician by the College of Medicine. My parents and grandparents alike have thus started to organize a grand party to celebrate this triumph in my honor. This would double as a send-off party, after which I will proceed to Riyadh in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where I have a new post in the Royal Hospital, in the Royal King Fahd Hospital. Of course, dearie, you would imagine that nothing will complete my joy in this party like your presence. That's why I've elected to dispatch this missive to you on time. That's on time. I'd like us to briefly take a look at the features of this first paragraph. Full form of verb. I will proceed. An action intended for the future. The writer hasn't proceeded to Saudi Arabia. She will proceed. And so the use of the simple future tense here is apt. And then, of course is a transition element, a linking verb, a sentence connector, a connector of ideas, a suitable connective. It is a phrase that indicates a transition, a link from the previous sentence to what is coming next. There is a slang expression indicating familiarity. It indicates closeness. It indicates how close, how familiar the writer is to the recipient of the letter. You would imagine contraction. You would imagine that nothing will complete, compare, will proceed. Both are in the simple future tense, implying that the action hasn't taken place, but I expect it to take place. You would imagine that nothing will complete my joy in this party like your presence. That's why, meaning that is why. That's a contraction which is acceptable in an informal letter. That's why I've, another contraction meaning I have. That's why I've elected to dispatch this missive to you on time. So what we've seen is that while full forms are not bad, full forms can be used, but you need to infuse some sprinkling of contracted verbs in your informal letter, because that helps to make the letter more informal than formal. Are we making sense here? Then you need to use some slang expression, if any. It is not a necessity. If any, there is no slang expression, you can forget about it. But if you have a slang expression, it helps to indicate how intimate the writer is to the addressee of the letter. Now, having written this first paragraph, remember that our next bullet point is give directions. How does the invitee get to the venue? All right. This is our second paragraph, and we have not really rounded off with that paragraph. But the paragraph has focused on directing the recipient of the letter on how to get to the venue. I begin to read from this point. It says, since this is your first visit to Nigeria from Morocco, you will have to board a first-class flight at the Rabat International Airport and disembark at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja, Nigeria. Once you land in Abuja on Tuesday morning, I'll send our family chauffeur to fetch you. Alternatively, you may prefer to come by land and travel from Fez through the Trans-Saharan Expressway to Ikeja, Lagos, Nigeria. And then from, you will board a bus en route to Gwagwalada in Abuja, where we can pick you up to the venue. And so the second paragraph concludes by saying, alternatively, you may prefer to come by land and travel from Fez through the Trans-Saharan Expressway to Ikeja, Lagos, Nigeria. And thenceform, you will board a bus en route to Gwagwalada in Abuja, where we can pick you up to the venue, Trans Hilton Sheraton Hotel, Abuja. As the party comes up on Friday, it would be ideal if you could arrive on Tuesday so that I will spare some time to take you around our nation's capital. How do you see this? Now, I need to point out how the ideas discussed in this paragraph are linked up. Good. Now, the second paragraph begins with, since this is your first visit to Nigeria from Morocco, it's a transition element indicating that the writer has finished with the first paragraph, which introduces the party and which gives the invitation to his friend or her friend. And the transition element indicates a change in idea, a transition in idea from the introduction to the next item, which is the direction that leads the recipient of the letter from Morocco, her home country, to Nigeria, the host country of the party. In this second paragraph, we continue. I have underlined alternatively to help you understand that it is our next transition point. It is a linking word that links the first part of the second paragraph to what is coming next. The first part of the second paragraph discusses one mode of transportation from Morocco to Nigeria that the recipient of this letter may decide to use. And then the part of the paragraph beginning with alternatively makes a suggestion or suggests an alternative to the first mode of transportation. You will also have noticed a continuous use of contraction like I and you will again, and so on and so forth. All of these are important features of an informal letter. And so, having said this, we are now in a position to take our third paragraph, possibly the final paragraph of this letter. Of course, in this paragraph, the writer is going to talk about how to accommodate, arrangements to accommodate the visitor during the party.